What happens if you take someone else's idea without their permission and then you proceed to make billions with it? Don't you owe the original creator of the idea the money you made? Isn't that only fair? Well, this is the question that the US Supreme Court faces in March of 2020 in the Oracle versus Google case. Why should you care? Well, this case really determines the outcome of copyright law for you and me as creators in the near future. In this video, I'm going to tell you what some of the top tech companies have to say about this question of whether or not you can take someone's idea, make billions from it, and not pay the original creator of the idea. I'm also going to give you my 2 cents, and I think you're going to be quite surprised about the answer to this question. All right, let's hit this. Hey creator, I'm Ian Corzine, your social media lawyer. On this channel, we talk all things social media law, and I show you how to protect your social media accounts and maximize all your online business opportunities. All right, let's get right to it. Can you take someone else's idea, expand upon it, and then get a lot of profit as a result and not give that profit back to the original creator of the idea? The answer to this question can be found in the story of Larry. Larry was given away for adoption in 1944. He went to go live with his aunt and uncle in Chicago. His uncle totally mistreated him, told him he was nothing. As a result, his self-esteem was low and he was a bad student. He actually dropped out of college twice. But Larry was a smart guy. He taught himself computer programming in the 1970s, and eventually in 1977, he formed the company Oracle. Oracle designed programming languages and database software. To show his dad, Larry was going to make Oracle the greatest computer company in the world. And after the development of this programming language called C, it virtually was. And Larry became a billionaire. That'll show you, Dad. Because he could, in 2009, Larry bought Sun Microsystems for about $7 billion. He loved this corporation because it developed this programming language called Java, which was a very useful programming language for the modern internet. Java was cool because it allowed all sorts of different apps that were programmed in Java to run on any type of computer, Mac, PC, it didn't matter. The apps ran the same way on each machine. In fact, the reason why Gmail and all the Google Docs that we use run so good is based upon this programming language called Java. But more on this later. Java was open source. That meant that anyone could use this programming language for free. You just had to pay for it if you wanted to incorporate this Java programming language into your own software and go and sell it. Well, Google really wanted to get into the mobile phone industry in the 2000s. They had just recently purchased a company that made the Android operating system for mobile phones, and they wanted to use Java, the Java programming language, in their Android OS. So Google approached Larry and said, "Listen, Larry, we want to use your Java programming language in our Android operating system. We're going to pay you well for it. Will you allow us to do it?" He said, heck no. He did not want Java in the hands of Google. Larry thought that Google would take Java and then convert it so that it wouldn't work on all the different machines like Mac and PCs, the very purpose for why Java was even created. So he did not want it in the hands of Google. So Google said, whatever, and they took Java anyway and proceeded to incorporate it in their Android operating system, made $31 billion, took over the world of mobile phones. Now that's when Larry got pissed. In August of 2010, he brought a lawsuit against Google and said, listen, you can't take Java without our permission, incorporate it in your own software, and then make billions and billions of dollars with it and not pay us a dime? Larry said Google was liable for copyright infringement and patent infringement. The court battle went on for years and years, but Larry won, or so he thought. He proved that software like Java is capable of being copyrighted, but later on in the proceedings, a jury said Google was not liable for copyright infringement because they used Java in their Android operating system as a fair use. As you may have heard me say before, fair use is a legal rule that allows you to use other people's copyrighted art, so it could be video or audio or poetry, whatever, use that other art for your own self without their permission, so long as you sufficiently transform it. If you want to learn more about fair use, watch my video right there. So Larry appealed the jury's verdict and the judgment, and he won again. Sort of. The Court of Appeal said that Google's use of Java was not a fair use. They had used portions of the program verbatim, and then they proceeded to use it exactly the way it existed before they used it and sell millions upon millions, maybe billions of cell phones. That's when Google got pissed. They appealed this judgment to the US Supreme Court, and they asked the judges to decide two big questions. The first question was whether or not software like Java was even capable of being copyrighted. The second one was whether or not Google's use of Java in the Android operating system was a fair use. The US Supreme Court will consider these two questions when it hears argument from the lawyers in March of 2020. So the question about whether or not you can take someone else's idea, build upon it, then make billions of dollars and not pay the original creator of the idea is up for debate in the highest court in America. To me, it seems like Larry should win. After all, Google came to him and said, listen, can we use Java in our Android operating system? And Larry said, no. To me, that's the end of the discussion. Google owes Larry the amount of money it made by using the Java programming language in Android, right? Google says wrong, and most of the tech companies out there agree. Microsoft and IBM have both submitted Friends of the Court briefs to the US Supreme Court, and they argue, listen, we know that Google took this idea without permission, but what they did with it was so important to society that we're gonna wanna overlook that. And so they're gonna argue to the US Supreme Court that any taking or any illegal taking of Java was justified because it was so important to society. I mean, Android is freely available. It's changed people's lives. I guess 86% of all the phones in all the world run on Android. Google argues that its taking of Java was so important for society in general that the court should decide that software cannot be copyrighted, or at the very least, that Google's taking of this idea, this Java idea, was fair use. Google says that if the US Supreme Court decides against it, this is going to stifle innovation and creativity in the tech world, and it's going to increase the costs of all the technology that we know and love that's helping society so much. Google says that there should be freely available open source software that various people, whether it be one person or big companies, can expand on and then make innovations that really help the world. On the other side, Larry really only has one group that's supportive of his position, and that's the Trump administration. Whose side are you on? I don't mean for or against the Trump administration. I mean, are you supportive of the idea that someone should be allowed to be able to take the software, the idea of someone else, expand upon it, so long as it's for the greater good, not be liable for copyright infringement? Or are you supportive of the opposite conclusion? And that is that someone or many people spend a lot of time creating Java. And if you take what they did without their permission, you've got to pay them if you subsequently make a product that changes the world. I'd love to hear from you and hear what you think in the comments below. All right, now let's dig deeper into the concept of fair use. Do you want to learn how to use fair use in your social media posts? If you do, you can watch my video right here. And as you watch, I'll be here at iancorzine.com to answer any social media law questions you have.